And welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Sports are on the verge of returning, it looks like, and that means it's a terrific time to buy those new home theater seats you've been needing. No one in all of East Tennessee has a wider selection than Games and Things. Visit them or see them online, ourgameroom.com. And if you go down to their gameroom.com, which is their showroom, let me tell you, it's just like a playroom. It really is. You'll be spending hours just wandering around. They've got everything you need, Games and Things. All right, take a look. I was trying to put together my list of Major's best wins as coach. I came up with 14 and I had to weed some out. I'm going to ask you guys what the big one was. I think we all know. We'll probably go one or two. We're either going to go with Miami in the Sugar Bowl or we're going to go with the Miracle at South Bend is my guess. But there were plenty of great wins in there. The road win at UCLA, no one expected to see. That was Sterling Hinton running the team that day. The kickoff classic in Iowa, the great comeback against Virginia in the Sugar Bowl, the game we started with today, Notre Dame here in Knoxville, Major's first big win. And then number one, Auburn, the Bo Jackson game, on and on and on. I may have left something off that you would put in there. Where are you guys? Greatest all-time win for Johnny Majors at UT?
I go with the Miami win, the Sugar Bowl win. That was the first year I covered Tennessee football. I moved here from Louisiana, and in the first game, I know it was a tie, but I'm thinking this is going to be a fun season. Well, it was fun, but to beat Miami, first off, it's the first SEC championship Tennessee had since 1969. Then you're playing against a Miami team in which Jimmy Johnson basically said it's not whether we're going to beat Tennessee, it's by how much. And this game's going to be a rout. And he didn't say it was going to be a rout, but it ended up being a rout in Tennessee's favor.
He seemed to feel like it was.
He did. It was like a foregone conclusion. And to see Tennessee play that, and Tommy Sims mentioned earlier about backup quarterback, backup running back, two backup cornerbacks, to see them play like that. And Miami leads 7-0, right? So some people are thinking, okay, yeah, the rout's on. Well, it was, but in the other direction. But I just thought that game was the final straw of a season that was just a phenomenal year for Tennessee, accomplishing all that it did, and I thought it capped what was a brilliant 85 season.
The way they were playing, if there had been a playoff and the number 8 team, which is what they were, had gotten in, I don't think anyone would be wanting to face them.
No, they were going to be hard to beat by anybody.
Yeah, that team was one of the best in school history.
I think Miami had 21 players played in the NFL of that team?
It's an insane list if you've ever gone back and looked at who all was there. Yeah, Mike Strange, what's number one on your list?
Well, I'm going to say two things. The Alabama 82-83, getting that, and then going on 84. That 4-game streak against Alabama at that time was so huge, and I think Tennessee fans can appreciate that now because it's been so long. But I'm going to say something about the Miracle of South Bend. Coming back to win that game the way they did, I remember Jimmy and I were both there, and I remember going from the press box down through the crowd to get to the locker room for the post game. I just remember being among those Notre Dame fans falling out of the stadium. Several of them, not just one, but several, just talking about how Johnny Majors outcoached Lou Holtz, and they wish they had a coach like Johnny Majors. So I don't know how often Johnny heard that from Tennessee fans, but he would have liked what he heard from Notre Dame fans that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another team that was, if you go back and look at Notre Dame's roster that day, a lot of future NFL talent on that team as well. And that's something we didn't have time in today's show to do everything. As a matter of fact, we're off camera saying, oh, I meant to say this and I meant to say that. One thing I was going to do, and it would have just taken too much time, was show you a list of all of the assistants. We talked about a few of them that worked for Majors, but also all of the All-Americans and NFL players that he coached and recruited. At Pitt, here, it's too long a list. It would have taken an entire 7-minute segment of our show just to read those names and put them on screen. Whereas all those wins that we showed you were against really good teams, ranked teams, tons of talent. Tennessee had a lot of talent in the 90s. That spigot got turned on by Johnny Majors. And the talent he had, you talk about a year where Carl Pickens and Chuck Webb are redshirting. We were all kind of privileged to go through those years and watch them with that kind of team.
Yeah, and it was I referenced that 85 team, and I got somebody in here that may say, hey, wait a minute, you're full of bull, but that was not an overly talented team with a lot of great NFL players. They had a great quarterback who got hurt at the midseason, but there weren't a lot of players that went on to the NFL like the Miami team. But there was another game too, that Auburn game that year, when Auburn was number 1 and Bo Jackson was on his way to the Heisman Trophy. and Tennessee spanked them. And the score was 38-20, but the game wasn't that close. Tennessee whipped them pretty good. And I remember one of the players before the game they were talking about this Superman cape that Bo Jackson was dressed in before the season. They were like, we're going to take down Superman. And Tennessee was a kryptonite for Bo Jackson that day.
Jimmy Hyams, Mike Strange, thank you very much for taking part in this today. I appreciate it. When we come back, I'm going to try and get through something without getting misty-eyed, but I'll tell you the impact Johnny Majors had on me and why this show wouldn't be here for the last 17 years, if not for Coach Majors. I'll explain next. Come on back on the Sports Source.